Hi there, dear friends. Kalidas here to offer some astrological thoughts for today, June 4th, 2020. Today I'm going to be talking about the law of attraction. Perhaps you have seen the movie The Secret. The Secret is a movie that I saw about 11 years ago, and it's about the law of attraction, the secret. And I was kind of thrilled to watch it, but also at the same time it had some real misperceptions. One of those involves the law of attraction being applicable equally to each and every karmic situation. And that is not the truth. Attraction is based on that which you have given. So my teacher, Drupada, he spoke of his earlier in life relationship struggle. And he said that he would often go to the bank account of relationship and click on happy relationship withdrawal. And that would produce an insufficient funds. So he goes to the ATM, he says, withdraw happy relationship, insufficient funds. Did not have it. He couldn't attract it. Now in The Secret, they speak of just visualization and believing that it's already yours, which is a good process to go through. But let me read to you something that I feel is a more deep understanding of the secret of the law of attraction. This comes from the book Affirmations for Self-Healing by Swami Kriyananda. And this is an affirmation on love and how to attract it. Everyone wants love, so today I'm going to speak about how to attract more love. And you can put in place of that word love whatever you want. Money, cars, houses, friendships. How are we going to attract that which we want? That's the question which the law of attraction attempts to answer. So let's listen to Swamiji's words. One finds love not by being loved, but by loving. We can never know love if we try to draw others to ourselves, nor can we find it by centering our love in them. For love is infinite. It is never ours to create. We can only channel it from its source in infinity to all whom we meet. The more we forget ourselves in giving to others, the better we can understand what love really is. And the more we love as channels for God's love, the more we can understand that His is the one love in all the universe. So what is this saying? One finds love not by being loved, but by loving. One finds anything not by grabbing and grasping at it, but by giving it. I know people who are rich materially, and it's because they have spent their life giving. I know people who have very loving relationships, and it's because they have dedicated their energy in that relationship to giving love. Not to drawing it or feeling loved. That comes as a result of giving. So it comes back to my friend's and teacher's statement about the bank account. Withdraw happy relationship, and it says insufficient funds. What must we do? We must make deposit. We must begin loving. We must begin being friendly to others if we want to attract friends. If we want to attract money, we must begin giving support to the universe around us. In other words, the universe is a bank account, and that which we have deposited into it, we will then be able to withdraw. And in a chart, in a horoscope, it's going to show us where there is familiarity and where there is growth directions. And my two favorite charts right now, my case studies, are Ananda Village and the United States of America. And they both have very strong seventh houses. And what is the seventh house? It is the western horizon in the zodiac. And it symbolizes relationships with others, social action, service to others. So when my friend Drupada was pushing on the withdraw happy relationship button and getting insufficient funds, he recognized, I must make deposit. What should I do? We can't always know what to do, but we can pray, we can ask. I have an obstacle in my way. Divine Mother, help me turn this into the opportunity you intend it to be. And so what did he do? He felt directed to focus on service, on selfless service, without expectation of reward or recognition. And he said in just a couple of years' time, he attracted an angel for a partner. And if you looked at his horoscope, you wouldn't believe that that would be true. He found a very higher manifestation of something very challenging in his own horoscope, and that's what made him a very gifted astrologer, as he learned how to see our deepest flaws and turn those into our deepest strengths. And that's just a great, great service. So if we can take our hardships and turn those into personal strength, we too will be grateful for the challenges that God sends us in our lives, and for the things that we fail to attract. Why is it that we failed to attract them? Perhaps we need to focus more on giving in that area. That is the law of attraction. That which we have given, we can then receive. So the United States chart has a wild 7th house, and that's the social action. Very, very social place, really into relationships, and certainly learning a lot from them. And then also the Ananda village chart, the Mercury and the Sun in their 7th house. And this is a social action. Ananda is a social place. Though it is an ashram, it's very engaged in social service, in the sense of offering true, experiential teachings that can raise the consciousness of anyone. So how do we improve our own attractive ability? It has to do with our magnetism. And if you don't like that which you're attracting today in your life, we are in a time of testing on the planet. If you don't like it, what is needed? A change in your own self, a change in your perhaps expectations of life. It could have to do with that which you've been giving to life. The result is what you're drawing from it. And if that is not satisfactory, then evaluate that which you are giving to life. So we did not come in this life, the law of attraction says, to get a whole bunch of stuff. Why? Because we're temporary. We'll just lose it. It'll create sorrow. We didn't come here to accumulate. Yes, we need material security, but we're not talking about finding eternal security from a temporary thing. We came in this life to learn how to give, not to get. And that is the big flaw in our culture, in Western culture, in the United States culture. We have a lot to learn about maturity and equality, and the other person besides us matters equally. That is not easy to learn, but it is something that I believe our culture will learn within the next couple of decades. It will become very apparent that if we want to survive, we have to support one another in non-judgment, and focus on giving and supporting one another, rather than taking all the time. So what's on in all our favorite TV shows and movies? We're being trained to kind of think like materialists. It's a faulty system, which is why it must break at this time. Why is Saturn in Capricorn for the next couple of years? And how is it related to what we're going through now? We're looking at a system that's breaking, a system based on lies, on falsity, that we can gain eternal happiness from a temporary, selfish experience. It's just absolutely not true. So the yogic master, Yogananda, he came to the West in 1920, 100 years before this crisis began. And I believe he came that early to prepare humanity spiritually for the great darkness that was going to attempt to overtake the world, the darkness of materialism, the darkness of satanic energy, selfish energy, trying to play God, trying to control others rather than give to them and help them. And so the Ananda village and the United States chart have very much to do with social action, helping people. And if the United States does not focus on helping and instead become selfish and self-focused, it will surely not prosper. So the Western horizon, that's the other person. And the Eastern horizon is you. And very interesting, Paramhansa Yogananda's teaching, one of the intentions was the blending of East and West. And of course he meant India and America, the teachings of spiritual science blending with the material efficiency of the West and America. But also, if we look at it astrologically, we see that the East is us, our individual self-development, and the 7th house is the Western horizon. So that's East and West blending. And it has to do with us serving others and becoming instruments for the light to help others become enlightened. And so the blending of East and West, my teacher Drupada exemplified this greatly in that he was trying to get something for himself, which was withdraw the happy relationship, and instead he began to focus on service to others. And that's how he fulfilled his desire. So the law of attraction is give that which you wish to attain, and you will most surely attract it from the universe because you deposited that in the bank account of your karma. And it says that when virtue declines and vice predominates on earth, I incarnate myself. That is what God says in the Bhagavad Gita. It says, when virtue declines and vice predominates, I incarnate myself as an avatar to help humanity get back on track, basically. I paraphrase, of course. But what is our work? Here in the United States, as a unit of Ananda Village, if that's what you're part of, our work is with others. Our work is helping others. And if you've attracted this life, if you've attracted Guru Yogananda into your life, that's a result of you having lived spiritually before, no doubt. But why aren't you free yet? If you want enlightenment, you must give that. If you want freedom, you must give that. If you want spiritual depth, you must help others to attain that. And this is where the East and West meet, is we develop ourselves through our service to others. We get free by making others free. And so the East and West blend has to do with the Eastern horizon and the Western horizon, as much as it has to do with India and America. And so what did Swami Kriyananda say about maturity? He said, maturity is the ability to relate to other people's realities. And this is what the United States is really going to go through. It's meant to manifest this maturity, but we're not there yet, are we? Ananda Village, also 7th house karma. We are meant to manifest this maturity, this ability to relate to one another's realities with respect, and while prioritizing harmony. And understanding that each individual has the perspective that they do because of their own unique life experience. It's not our life, it's theirs. And they have different learning experiences, and they have a different horoscope. What does that mean? It means that we can never expect them to behave or think how we do. And when we think that, we get into trouble. And when we get into trouble, our own law of attraction, our own magnetism decreases, and that which we attract becomes more troublesome. So when the gurus come to this world, they come to teach us about things like the law of attraction. And it is said in the scriptures that there is no greater blessing in all the three worlds than the guru, than finding your guru. And if you don't believe in gurus, or if you don't have one, well, find one, or research it more. Because Yogananda was one guru, and you know what he said? He said, follow me. If I am not your guru, I will lead you to him. That is what a great master will do. He will lead you to your guru if he's not your guru. But if you go into the world of spiritual gurus and begin to understand that these avatars came to help us achieve that attractive force that can draw to us the right experiences that will lead to our liberation, well, that guru is a blessing beyond anything we can imagine. Why is that? There's a story in Sri Yukteswar's ashram, this beautiful guru here on my shirt. And he had a great disciple he loved very much. And that disciple decided one day to leave the ashram. And Sri Yukteswar said, well, we have to let him go. The callous world must be his guru still. The callous world, meaning that hardened part on your thumb or your toe, the insensitive world, must be his guru still. And that's very sad, but it's the truth of each of us when we don't live consciously in the guru-disciple relationship. We have a callous world being our guru, very insensitive. It's dualistic at best, which means it puts us through ups and downs endlessly. And that's a guru, that's a callous guru. So finding your guru, what does that do? Why is that the greatest blessing in all the three worlds? Because when you accept discipleship under a great master, you give him the fruit of your karma. And his superconscious mind somehow, in some magical way, lays out the experiences that you will need. And it's very uncallous. It's sensitive. It's aware of your needs. And it's easier to achieve salvation. In fact, it's said in the Indian scriptures that one needs a guru if they wish to find God. It's not an easy task to overcome one's own ego. We need the guidance of one who's already free. And so the guru-disciple relationship is the greatest thing you can attract in your life. And if you want to, begin loving others and trying to uplift them with the love in your own heart. And pray that God lead you to your guru. And you'll see that that attractive force will guide you to some teacher or some book. It might not be a living guru. My guru is Yogananda. He left in 1952 from this world. But that guru is omnipresent. They're everywhere, and they give you all the people you need, all the experiences you need, and all the resources that you need to achieve success on the material and spiritual plane. Yes, it is the greatest blessing in all the three worlds to have the guru-disciple relationship understood and taking place in one's own life. It's a recipe for inner freedom. So let's see, what else was I going to talk about today? So we must have focused a lot on our own salvation in those other lifetimes, right? To have attained good karma, to have a guru and a path, and be walking the spiritual path sincerely, we must have earned good karma for that. But why aren't we free? And this is where it comes to our question of, what are we focusing on when we meditate and do our spiritual practices? Are we seeking our own salvation? Or are we growing in order to become better instruments for the salvation of others? If you look at those who have attained the ultimate enlightenment, you'll see the latter. That they focused their spiritual efforts on behalf of others. It was never a selfish focus. In fact, I don't think that it's possible to find God with a get me out of here, I want out of this world, I don't want to serve anyone, I just want to be done. I don't think the door opens that way. It's by the law of attraction. We must give, we must help others towards their freedom if we ourselves want to become free. If we want to become rich, we must practice giving money to the causes we believe in. If we want lots of friends, we must begin being a friend to the universe and everyone around us. See, this is the bank account of life. And if we spent many lifetimes in lonely meditation and we still have not found the goal, then we must begin focusing on helping other people find that goal of salvation. It does something to the consciousness to understand the seventh house, which is the other person, as part of oneself, to blend east and west together and see the other as yourself. One of my favorite quotes of Paramahansa Yogananda is, never neglect what you can do for yourself in the form of another. Try to meditate on that one and think about it. Never neglect what you can do for yourself in the form of another. This is the blending of east and west, the taking of the self, which is in the east, the soul, and the other soul in the western horizon, and merging them through service, through friendship, through love, through unconditional love. And what did Swami say? He said, maturity is the ability to relate to other people's realities. So remember, if you find yourself scoffing at another's reality, or if you find yourself being trained to hate the leaders of certain countries by the media, you are finding in yourself a stain of darkness. And it's revealing to you valuable work that you can do on yourself. A step towards maturity. If we want to become mature, we must learn to respect the other person. And if we want to attract friendships and the real asset of life, which is like-minded individuals who can support us and who we can also aid in their journey, if we want to attract that, then we must begin being a friend and learning that giving that which we want, that is the secret to the law of attraction. So yes, The Secret's a cool movie. It's fun to watch. And I remember a moment in it where they said, like, put all over your walls the kind of things that you want to attract. And this guy had like money on his wall and things like that. But I paused the movie and felt tears coming into my eyes because I looked on my walls and I saw the enlightened beings. I saw Babaji. I saw Sri Yukteswar and Yogananda. And I began to feel their bliss in that moment. It was as if they were showing me that the law of attraction really is about finding God. If you can attract anything in this world, you still won't find eternal happiness. The law of attraction is about finding the divine. And so what must we do in this life? What are we doing here? If we pay attention to the law of attraction and we want to attract God, awareness, realization, enlightenment, then we are surely here to help others become enlightened. If that's the way it works, if that which we want, we must give. And that would be Ananda's 7th house. They have a really great 7th house. It's way less wacky than the United States chart, which shows a lot more work to do, but also a grander scale of social action. What we see in Ananda's chart is Mercury and the Sun in the 7th house. That's very philosophical and enlightened. That's sharing the spiritual eye, basically, through the throat chakra of ministry. So Ananda has a very healthy 7th house, and it would benefit anyone in the work to recognize that this is about serving others. It's not a place where you'll come to hide out and live in the mountains and not have any more problems, because you'll create more problems if that be your attitude. I have personally experienced it. And really, when we begin to give, there's a great inner freedom that comes. The story of Yogananda blessing devotees can illustrate this, because there was 50 people coming for his blessing. And one of the monks was next to him helping those people get their blessing and moving them on. And he began to feel their state of heart. And he could tell Yogananda was giving him this experience, but he could feel each devotee as they approached. And he said he could feel their heart's devotion. And they all came with devotion, but most of them were thinking, what do I get? What do you give me? Isn't that how the guru-disciple relationship works? Is I come to you and you give to me? Well, that's kind of how Yogananda had to play it in the West. He had to support the disciples. But in India, they know that's not true. It's that which you give to the guru that makes you free. You're free of whatever you give to the guru, including your negative karmas. So at the end of the line, the disciple noticed that Yogananda's blessings were being given but not fully received. That was kind of his perception. And then at the end of the line, there was a couple of ladies, and they were selfless. They were grateful. And they said, help us to be instruments for your light, for your teaching. Thank you for coming to the West and giving us these liberating techniques of meditation. And he said that Yogananda, when he perceived this attitude in them of just giving, not a sense at all of what do we get, that he was absolutely pouring his blessings into them. And this is what happens when we give selflessly. When we come to life with a giving spirit, something supports us. A magical intuition can develop as the result of a pure wish to give. It can also involve prayer for direction. Where should I give? What can I give? Divine Mother, help me to find out how I can be an instrument for your abundant love in this creation. Those kind of prayers are very powerful. Asking for guidance is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you recognize that you're still a child and you're in school and you need the teacher's help. So there's a couple things left today, and one of them is this guru-disciple relationship story that I wanted to share. And it's basically about how when the guru does take charge of your karma, he's going to give you all sorts of experiences that help to liberate you. And I wanted to share one of my own, because Yogananda said in the autobiography of a yogi that God's will is often baffling to the ego's intelligence. And I want to tell a story about myself and how I was once just absolutely baffled by God's will. And it was a time when I was living in a monastery in the SRF Lake Shrine in Pacific Palisades. We were there for a time on a detour. We spent about 2 weeks or a week and a half there, and I was with the other monks. And that evening was the satsang. It was a Thursday evening satsang that I always loved to go to. The services were so uplifting to me, so I was attached. Very attached to spiritual ceremonies for some reason. I just loved them. And I couldn't wait to go to this Thursday evening satsang. And that day, that morning, the head monk, Brahmachari Vito, he's an Italian monk, he's very sweet, and he came out and he said in his beautiful Italian accent, he said, "Boys, tonight we are going to watch a movie." And immediately something happened in my heart. I thought, oh, the satsang. What about our satsang? Our time in the ministry to listen to the minister speak in the ceremony. And he said, "Tonight we will watch a movie together as monks. I have a good movie picked out." And I just went sour. Immediately I was like, I'm not watching a stupid movie. I'm going to the church, man. I'm going to do real spiritual progress. I don't want to watch a movie with the monks. That's a waste of time. That was my attitude. But it didn't serve me. You see, I had negativity coming up. And so watch how it changed my magnetism. I got out of the lake shrine. I was in a terrible... Oh, sorry, someone tried calling my phone, but I think I'm still recording. So I was thinking that I was just going to go outside and go for a walk. And what I did was began to walk, and I saw a bus stop. So I got on the bus, and I just started up 15 blocks up Sunset Boulevard and ended up in a different town in LA, area of LA. And I was out front of a store that had some nice looking ice cream and cookies. So I ate ice cream and cookies, and at the time I was a raw foodist, so it hit me hard. I hadn't eaten ice cream and cookies in years. So it's one of the downfalls of a clean diet, as you get hit harder by poisonous foods. But I bought I bought the cake and the cookies and the ice cream, and I ate it all. A whole pint of ice cream and a whole pack of cookies. And then I was feeling really ill. So I got back on the bus, and I rode the bus back to Lake Shrine, and I went into my room and I fell asleep. And when I woke up, it was 7 o'clock in the evening. And the movie was going to start at 7:30, and so was the satsang I was so attached to going to. And I woke up, and I was still in kind of a funk. I thought, I'm going to still go to the church service. I'm going to ditch those monks. And and then they knocked on my door. It was like 5 minutes later, and they were all knocking on the door saying, "It's time to go watch the movie." And their group magnetism kind of pulled me. I didn't have the courage to say, "No, I'm not going." So luckily I went with them. And you know what? This was one of the best movies I'd ever seen. It was called The Ultimate Gift, and it was about service and the value of our consciousness expanding and maturing through service. And God, if that wasn't exactly what I needed to hear that day, it was so the Guru's presence. And this whole rebellion I'd gone through, it was just because I was baffled by God's will. Like Yogananda said, God's will is often baffling to the ego. Why is it baffling? Because it's going to dissolve the shadows on that moon of your ego and make you more able to reflect the light of the sun, which is your soul. So this was a really great movie. It was one of the most important and meaningful movies I'd ever seen, and it had a great impact on where my life would go after I left the ashram. So that's the guru-disciple relationship, is he helps us to tune into God's will. And the 9th house in astrology has to do with God's will. And you know what they call it? They call it the house of grace and good fortune. And that's because God's will is always the right way. It's always the way that will bring you the most happiness. Experiment with it. Pray and say, help me to do your will. Help me to know your will. Guide me, especially in the challenging times, so that I can see how to find your will in any given moment. And if you want a hint, open your heart and focus on giving love to others. That's what everyone needs. So that's a good start. But ultimately, this guru-disciple relationship becomes an inexplainable source of guidance within that gives you everything you need to succeed on both the material, emotional, and spiritual planes. It's the greatest blessing that you could ever attract. And it's the result of having given love. And the wish to be in this world as a helper, as a servant of the light, that will draw you to your guru. But also you can pray for it. And the guru-disciple relationship is something so treasured, so treasurable, that you'll be glad you did. So God bless you, and thanks for joining me today, and it's been a joy to spend some time with you. Okay, bye-bye.